And I'm having the time of my life. So I am dreaming about continuing to have the time of my life and demand that me having the time of my life, everyone having the time of their lives, especially Black folk having the time of their lives, is the goal. Whatever the time of your life is, like, let's try to figure out how to get everybody there so we can all like chill out. That's what I'm dreaming about for everybody.
This is a time of transition in America. For those of us working in city building and community development, this is a moment to be daring, to dream big, and speak the future we want into being. Our cities have talent and ideas. That's not the issue. The question is whether we will listen. We invited some great minds across cities to hear what they're thinking about their own work in this moment and how they're building what comes next.
I'm so excited to be in conversation today with Detroit artists Sheefy McFly and India Solomon. Tasheef Sheefy McFly Turner, born and raised in Detroit, is a multifaceted artist and independent entrepreneur. An alumni of the College for Creative Studies, Sheefy has dozens of murals in the city of Detroit, spreading his Sheefy faces in many different styles on walls all over the state of Michigan and the United States. From his cubist, surrealist, and pop art influences, Sheefy creates his own subconscious gesture figures. As a musician, Sheefy stands out in several different musical genres, from hip-hop to techno, and founded the Air Up There, a hip-hop showcase where Dej Loaf and many other influential Detroit MCs had their first performance. Sheefy has always cultivated the scene, and I'm so excited to welcome Sheefy McFly to the consulate. What up, though? That's my brother, y'all. I can't wait to talk to him. India Solomon is a Detroit-based abstract visual artist with roots on the city's west side and a family across the globe. India paints as a means of wayfinding, releasing, and channeling a more grounded version of the present. Growing up, paintbrushes and half-finished paint tins were a staple in her mother's DIY household. And Saturdays at Grandma's house were spent gluing rhinestones onto homemade jewelry and manifesting high fashion out of Joann's fabric scraps. India's current art practice spans original paintings, mid-scale murals, thoughtful garments, and home goods. India's life has always been deeply relational, and it shows in her work that she has had the privilege of learning love in many different forms. Beyond and through her artwork, India works to create connections, communities, and collaborations that nurture talent, shift definitions of value, and help people thrive. India Solomon, welcome to the consulate.
Thank you.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Was that embarrassing?
Yeah.
I embarrassed you a little bit?
So, yeah, you did.
So this is a first for the confidential in real life. This is my first time being able to sit across from not one, but two people at Urban Consulate Confidential. And I am such huge fans of both of you. And so I'm really, really excited to give in. Indy, I want to start with you because my mama raised me right. So it's ladies first.
All right.
And so my first question is, as an artist, right, I want to know how you think about your relationship with cities, especially the city of Detroit.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that great question. And I love that you are specifying cities because the study of cities is what I'm actually trained in. I'm not a trained artist, and maybe we'll get into that later. My art is very much sort of a subconscious practice for me, and I'm learning things along the way, which is very necessary. But I actually am trained in urban planning, which for me, it's the art of building cities. And for me, it turned into the art of building community. I think when you say city, it feels very removed. But for me, I went into planning school very rooted in community. And I think just enamored by the fact that there was an intentional profession dedicated to making places. There were decisions behind the places that we see today, and there were actors there, like people making those decisions. So I didn't even know planning existed until maybe a year before I went to planning school, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the thing that I never knew about, but it's everything that my work started to rotate around. So the relationship to cities for me, and especially art, is like cities are sort of this massive physical manifestation of art.
You
but
better say that.
Okay.
Cities are a physical manifestation of art. Somebody
They are.
dreamt this up. Somebody,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yes, especially Detroit, especially the historic architecture. And there was a time when cities, you know, they were seen more as a formal expression of art. They were more artistic. There were people building buildings and not machines. So that's transformed over time. But I will say Detroit is the one place where that relationship, I don't think will ever go away. And so even if it's not Victorian architecture or whatever the name of it is, I'm supposed to know the names, but even if it's not that, it's the Sheefys bringing art into the built environment. It's us, it's this new generation of artists. You know, we can't necessarily mold out of all those materials and just start getting up and building something, but we can take and reclaim control over our space and how it feels and how it becomes an expression of us. So I'll stop there.
You know, that's really beautiful. And, you know, I was sitting here in my brain trying to reconcile before the camera started rolling, how one goes from planning school and completing it and actually working in the field for a little bit to being a full-time artist. But the way that you just laid it out, answer my question, there is an innate connection there that the layperson or the non-planner, I can pass sometimes when I'm really not a planner, doesn't think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cities are a manifestation. What? She's preaching already. Sheefy, man, I don't know where to begin with you, sir. Let's begin. I want to ask you this question, the same question that I asked India, but I just want to say that this moment on camera, me being able to sit across from you, my friend, since second grade,
crazy
on
man.
the east side of Detroit,
Crazy.
to see the growth, to see the love, to see the reaction that you get out of people from across the world. And now being able to sit across from you and ask you about your craft, ask you about how you've always shown up unapologetically yourself, different, and we're celebrated because of it. Man, it is a full circle moment for me sitting across from you right now, and I love it.
Man, me too, man. Feel like we in the lunchroom or something.
I mean, elementary, I don't know. Did we do middle together too? Where did we go?
I don't know. Where you go? I went to Remus. I went to Remus
we
a
were
little
Remus,
bit.
and then DSA.
Yeah.
So our whole DPSCD career, we were together. So that's crazy.
For real.
I want to ask you the same question I asked India about, you as an artist and your relationship to cities, specifically the city of Detroit.
I feel like my growth as an artist, because at first I wanted to be like a painter, just making bodies of work. I didn't start getting into murals, I say like 25, 26, but I seen how it affected the city. You know, like I stayed in Eastern Market when Murals in the Market first started, and I saw them bringing like 40 different white artists. I'm like, no, I gotta pick up a can, you feel me? Like, I gotta know how to put the Detroit story on this wall, you know? And that's when I seen the importance of murals in Detroit and in other places. Like, in order to put up a public piece of art, it has to reflect the community. Like, you just can't put up something that people don't love it or they don't understand it. And I feel like that's the vein that we hit in Detroit, that you can feel the passion in our artwork, you know, like we really putting love on these walls. Whereas in a lot of different places I travel, you could tell it's like oversaturated. But I feel like in Detroit, we still, we're in a sweet spot between the artists talking and the corporations listening. It took a time to get there, but I feel like, you know, now it's to a point, if you're professional enough, you can get in these rooms, you feel me? And with me, I can't say like I'm a professional, I'm a dropout, you know, like smoke weed every day, you feel me? All I do is paint, rap, like I ain't, you know, your average. But I'm still, you know, sitting with Bedrock and, you know, Red Bull and all these places because of, you know, my truth, my honesty, and what I put on the walls for Detroit. So I feel like Detroit is the only place that can do that right now. Like, it's washed everywhere else. Like, they really don't have a voice. They already priced out, you know, outnumbered. We still have a sweet spot of just being the blackest city, you know, in the world.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about this moment that you described, living in Eastern Market, murals in the market is coming and is here, and all of these artists are commissioned, and you aren't one of them. And then you look out and you see who was commissioned, and they don't look like you. Take me back to that feeling and that realization.
It was crazy because even at that time I did Red Bull House of Art as well. So I lived in Eastern Market when I did my cycle. I threw like an after party, threw my own art show there. We had like 500 people in the living room. Like I seen the scope of how, they get it, but they just don't. You feel me? But in order for them to get it, like a few people got to step up to the plate, well-rounded. So that's when I knew I had to start becoming better. You feel me? Because some people always think like they need the opportunity when it hits their mind, but it's like, no, you actually got to learn about the craft and see what you have to do. So seeing that first Murals in the Market just lit a fire. It's like, okay, like, even though it's all these dudes here, they still professional. You feel me? They still on the, they still worldwide. I got to know how to use a can. I got to know how to speak the artistic verbiage of, somebody seeing a mural on the wall. If they don't see your signature, they can still see your style. And know like, oh, that's a Sheefy.
Oh, I know a Sheefy when I see it.
You don't got to see a signature for my piece, But that was like at a point that really taught me that verbiage.
I want to spend some time digging into a point that you made about Detroit in this sweet spot, right? We are the largest majority Black city in the nation. And I've said for a long time that Detroit creates the culture that is pop culture, that is America. Detroit is Big Mama. If Detroit goes, so goes the rest of the country. I really believe that. This sweet spot, though, where corporations are listening, I want to hear more about that. And what does that mean? Are corporations retaining artists of color on the front end, on development projects and ideas? Like what is the relationship with the corporate with the corporations here in the city of Detroit and artists like yourselves, India or Sheefy?
I can speak from the community development, real estate side a bit, like that side of it. I would say, and I'm just going to share my current experience because I haven't been in it for years. I would say probably the past 2 years is the closest I've been to kind of seeing that relationship to art play out. But I've seen the budgets expand too and kind of shift for development projects or even community development initiatives that may not be rooted in the arts. There's this kind of click that happens when people who are very technical have to start to make cool places. And they're like, well, wait, well, what do we do about that? Like, who is that person that starts to think about how the space is going to move and how people are going to react to it, how it's going to feel? And so, like, for me, there was a first recognition of the need for that person, but it wasn't immediately folks didn't jump to say, oh, well, those are artists that do that. Like, artists are also these place builders. It's like, oh, well, where's the architect and where's the interior designer? And like, those folks are fine. But, I just think of artists' homes. I go into Sheefy's home, I go into Tony Hooligan's home, other people's homes, and artists make beautiful spaces just naturally. So for me, there's an expansion of money going towards the arts, but there's also this recognition that artists are needed in every sector, in every type of thing where you're designing something, especially if you're creating new systems or designing a new program or initiative. It's like there's creativity behind it. So I think people making the jump from like, oh, we need people with degrees to like, oh no, we need people who've been on the ground, who've been in community, who actually use these places that we're going to be building, and they have the knowledge. So that's been beautiful to see.
So an expansion of thought, huh, Sheefy? Like you talked about Bear Rock a little bit earlier.
Yeah, like what I can say on that, just thinking about it, is not only the artists, it's just like how she said, people in them rooms, you feel me, how those positions, we went to school together, like, this is a sense of community, you feel me?
Absolutely.
Like, even though, like, how can I say, a lot of the bedrock of different corporations that hit me up in Detroit, it's always like, we hear everybody talking about you. That's why we reached out to you. So it's just a sense of community and just a good reference, an honest reference. You know, people reach out to me, and that's just love, you feel me? But I can see that sense of just connectedness with all of us right now. You feel me? Just like as far as like the maturity, the age, the different time in Detroit. Like I feel like, you know, we're in the midst of the height of our Detroit Renaissance. I always felt like Detroit was special. Like it took me a while to leave home. You feel me? Like at one time I was just hard-headed. It's like, no, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna make everything pop here. I don't care, you know, how many people want to leave.
Yeah, I was like, but you still did.
I still feel that way.
Like, you know, like now I can go, you know, somewhere else for, you know, a month or two and do work or something like that. But it took me a while to actually expand my mind, you know, but I had to realize the Detroit state of mind is a global state of mind. You feel me? Like anywhere I touch now, and I take Detroit with me, and that's how I have to see myself as an ambassador. So I feel like in the midst of that, the people that's in them rooms, you know, with Bedrock, with Viola, with all type of people. You know, I work with so many people, Maker's Mark, all type of stuff. It's always, they hit me up. It'd be your email. I could be smoking in the morning. Check my email. It's like 5 people hit us up about you. You feel we want to work. You know, the people think I live in LA, so they're like, oh, you know, is you in Detroit now? I'm like, yeah, I'm here. You know, I just, you know, pick it how I play it. You feel me? Like I don't do too much. It's just me, you know, clicking these emails and making these paintings at the same time too. Like I don't got like no management, no agency, or nothing. I've been thugging. You feel me? Since youngin', for real, thugging since youngin', man. So
a Detroit state of mind is a global state of mind. Talk about Detroit, and talk about how it has an oversized influence on how we all show up in our various spaces, but especially how you all show up as artists. How has Detroit shaped your artistry? Sheefy.
I feel like once I started visiting other places and seeing the impact of other artists and how they spoke New York language in their work, and that's how I went global. Like, you know, Basquiat writing on the walls, talking about New York and everything like that. Keith Haring and stuff like that. That's when I came home. It's like, all right, I have to leave Detroit breadcrumbs in my murals, you know, that'll pay homage to the city and bring our culture to a fine art aesthetic that'll make it, you know, a global item, you feel me? Like people, that's why I made Jit Man. I was like, Jit Man, that's reminiscence of Keith Haring, you feel me? So people gonna look at that, think of fine art, but they gonna dig deeper and figure out what Jit is, you know? And I just started leaving just breadcrumbs, little pieces like that, writing Techno House's black music on walls. You know, like we really have to tell our own story, and we do that within art. We always done that, you know, with folklore and everything like that, you know, just going back generations. Like it's still the same thing, but we have to know how to penetrate that same heartbeat, you know, without thinking about a lot of my work, I just got into ego work, you feel me? But at the time, it was like everything is just Detroit. Like I'm doing this just to, you know, put Detroit on a global map or a global stage, you feel me? I'm just now getting to a point of getting into my own art, but I feel like that was the most important thing.
Your Detroit story.
My Detroit story. So this is really great because it allows me to tell kind of this very personal story that I haven't really told on like this kind of platform. So I was very much raised in Detroit, but I was not born here. I was born very randomly in Australia to a mother who is Indian, Portuguese, and British. So she was born in India, grew up a bit in India. It was kind of like a lot of turmoil happening at that time. Her family had a hard time. And so they moved to Australia. My mom was raised there. She was always like, at the time, I would say Australia wasn't as culturally diverse. So at the time, she was like one of the darker folks in this random country where there's a bunch of white people and a bunch of deserts and these weird animals. And so she, it was a culture shock, and she didn't quite know what to do, how to feel, who to be. She spoke these languages, but what she found what she started to relate to was music. And she actually came across Motown music when she was in Australia. Yes. So she was like, I don't know what these people are, what they doing, but I'm about to stay up until 3 a.m. and listen to Motown because this is the best thing I've ever heard. And Detroit must be the best city ever. She was like, that is the place that I want to be. So my mother was a rebel. She like didn't finish school, but made stuff happen. And she traveled all around Europe in her 20s, met her first husband in Spain, who was in the Air Force. And he was from Detroit.
You
yes.
better stop.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, so that was not my father. Everybody was like, oh, is that your dad? I was like, no. I was like, no, that wasn't my dad. But my dad is also
I got
from
that
Detroit.
when you said first husband. But
Yes. Yeah, so that's how she made her way to Detroit, left her family in Australia, her friends all over Europe, and Detroit was the place she chose. So it was like, that's how I came to Detroit. It was very like not supposed to happen type thing that happened. So for me, being in Detroit, there's a deep purpose in that. Because I wasn't born here and I made it here through all that craziness.
And you made it here.
Yeah.
So
I'm
talk
very
about growing up
intentional.
here.
Yeah.
Talk about growing up here and how the city has shaped you in your artistry.
Yes. So as you kind of alluded to in my bio, I was in a split household. My dad was in Detroit. My mom was out in Oak Park. So I spent, half my time mostly at my grandma's house. And then with my mom, and my grandmother was your classic Detroit grandmother. Like if I did not grow up with a Detroit grandma, I would not be who I am today. She was like making everything. It was like food on Sundays. Everybody was at the house on Sundays. Completely open door.
That's right.
Yeah, off of 6 Mile and Steel, but her door was always open. Not always. Okay, on Sundays when she knew who was coming through and everybody was coming through, so things were safe. But it just very open door. Everybody was in and out. Everybody felt like home. And so even that was sort of my first introduction to creating space and creating a place where people felt like home. Like that's it. So in my bio is like my work is inspired by this feeling of home. And I think that's even become more relevant during the pandemic where home has become so many things for us now. We're doing everything in our homes. So I think a lot about like what's the role of art in transforming the home and like what it means to people and how it serves people. But so I say all that to say, because of Detroit, I hustle the way I do. I was able to be as creative with my career the way that I was. And I'm able to not worry. I grew up seeing folks make ends meet and make things happen without a lot. So I think that inherent resourcefulness is also such a gift when you're making art.
Do you guys think of yourselves as culture creators? Do you feel like that you've become, both of you, such an important piece of the fabric to what Detroit is, an important piece to the culture? Do you all get a sense, or have you been able to step outside of just doing the work to think about, preservation and the creation of culture? Like everybody want a Sheefy. Everybody want to be associated, or
Hey, it's crazy, man. I don't know. I don't try to think about it a lot. You feel me? Like, I feel like it's just a blessing for people to love my art, or just to know me. You feel me? I remember times when I was trading paints for hot and ready. You feel me? So any dollar, any love is always love. So I don't think about. I just feel like I'm just a regular dude.
But you gotta think about it though, Sheefy. Let me push you on this, only because I've never seen anything like this, India, where this man will post on Instagram or Facebook, I'm popping up on the Belle Isle Bridge today at 3 o'clock, $100 pop-ups for the canvases, and the line is all the way out to Jefferson.
Yes.
What do you mean you don't think about it? What do you mean?
I feel like, okay, even with that, like in a sense, that's like a rift. That's definitely an anomaly. Because usually with art, you're not in front of the artist. You got to go to a wall, all that type of stuff, go to a gallery. Like when I was doing that, I was thinking about just breaking that wall between artist and collector. And, just opening people's minds that everybody can have a piece of art in their wall. Like, most people feel like art is just for the aristocrats and the 1%, but art is for everybody. So that was like my state of mind doing those pop-ups. And they just started going. You feel me? Like I didn't know what was going on. You feel me? I'll just be like, all right, I'm here right now. You feel me? Pull up.
Yeah.
The people will be there. I did it from here to LA. You feel me? Like,
You did pop-ups in LA too, like that?
Yeah, I saw the good at least 250 plus from here to LA. Just being like, I'm here right now. Like, pull up.
Yeah.
Okay, Sheefy, whatever.
Talk about what
No, because I was saying the same thing.
I'm just like,
Talk about whatever.
what I'm saying is that is a powerful platform, and it's a powerful influence, and
I feel like anybody can do it though. That like I don't feel like the same amount.
if they work hard and put their minds to
You
it,
already know
Sheefy.
I've been doing this forever. So if anybody put that much, like I ain't never want no job. You feel me? I always wanted to be an artist. I feel like if anybody wants to do anything they want to do, they can do it. But other than that, I'm just a regular dude. You feel me?
Okay.
I just wanted to paint.
I love it. India, so Sheefy talked about like removing this third wall between the buyer and the artist. And you are very much out there. You have something coming up later on in the quarter. What have you learned from this guy? What have y'all learned from each other?
Oh man, everything from this guy. So I was gonna back up and just give an example of maybe the influence that you may be trying to get Sheefy to talk about, but he's not going to. So no, you're perfect. You're wonderful. This is why you do what you do. So for me to answer your last question, you know, am I a culture creator? No, I'm a servant to the culture, to Detroit culture. And so like as much as I can uplift it or drop that fact that people didn't know or be that like, oh, nope, you thought it came from there, but we was doing that in Detroit, when like I'm that person in the room when I'm not, you know, out in community, and I am sort of still at these tables that I have to be at right now to pay the bills. But yeah, I am like, because I'm grateful to be able to enter these rooms as well and kind of work on these higher scale consulting projects. So to come in, and a lot of people don't know I'm from Detroit too, so I do a lot of like sitting back and listening and being like, okay, what you about to say about Detroit? Or what you think you about to slide by? Or
Because
what kind of
having to correct so much.
Yeah, so much. And even a lot of it is around the suburban Detroit dichotomy and like all of that. So I'm just grateful to be able to be a servant to the culture, to uplift it, to speak on it accurately in rooms where those voices aren't represented. So I'll say that. But what I've learned from Sheefy, so I was just saying before we started, Sheefy essentially gave me my first job after I quit my full-time job, after I decided like I came in here to be in community, to be building community, to have some sort of tangible impact. I am not seeing that. I'm seeing millions of dollars. I'm structuring multi-million-dollar funds, and I'm not seeing impact. So I'm not convinced anymore. I'm about to go figure it out.
I'm about
to go figure it out. I'm about to go meet people. I'm about to go be back in community like I always intended to do. And I met Sheefy not long after I quit my job. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, this isn't it.
Was that scary?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like you just quit?
Yeah, completely.
Because you needed to do impact, you needed to see impact on your own terms.
Yes, and I was becoming physically ill too. Like I'm very in tune with my intuition and body. I think a lot of artists are. And for a while, I was just blaming that kind of sick, sinking feeling on other things. I was like, oh, I'm sad because of this. Or like, oh, I'm all these things. And literally immediately after I quit my job, I was a completely different person. My health was completely different. And I was like, oh, that was my body telling me something, like telling me this is not, this is not where you need to be directing your energy at all. So I did that, and I met Sheefy not long after, and he had just gotten the Monroe Street Midway thing. We were chopping it up the first time
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, the first time we met, pulled up to the studio, we made 3 pieces
first time
together.
We met, I was like, boom, all right, you do art, all right. I test everybody, if you say you do art, like I'll put a paintbrush in your hand, I got, shit all around the crib.
Yeah.
So, I'll paint with you. But if you can make a solid piece, I was like, all right, because sometimes I need people to help me with murals and stuff like that. Or I'm always like, even with musicians, I was always looking for new rappers or always looking for new DJs, because I never had a mindset of like, it's about me. It's like, it's about us. You feel me? So that's definitely always been my mind with artists. So when I met India, first time we met, boom. Like we drew like 3 pieces there, like wop, wop, wop. It's like, all
Put
right.
it in your hand like here.
For real. Like you say you paint, come on, boom, let me see. So then we made some solid work, you feel me? And then that's when I got the call. And then they like, you got 7 days. We need you to paint this 100-foot mural on the ground. You feel me? So I'm like, okay. So I hit up all the homies, you feel me? So I gave everybody the same spiel. Like, I can pay you, you feel me? You can get an hourly. This could be an internship, how you want to play it. You feel me? Like, at the end of it all, like, everybody, you know, got what they wanted. You feel me? But essentially, like, that whole experience was just, like, crazy. And India was definitely a part of that. You feel me? So that's how we became cool, you know, like, just through that. And then from there, like, I seen her growth, you feel me? Because that's just thinking about, that's last year. You feel me? So if she just quit from last year and now, we're both on the same panel talk about art. You feel me? Like, that's just, that's tremendous. You feel me? That's tremendous growth.
Do you think of yourself as a teacher?
I could be. You feel me? Like, I feel like I'm a student. I'm more of a student than a teacher. You feel me? But if I know something, I'll tell you about it. But I don't consider myself like, you know, I'll be wanting to teach people. Sometimes I just get that feeling. Like, I feel like I'm really empathetic to artists because I know how that feels. Like, I want to be heard. I want to be seen. So if I feel that with a person, you feel me? Like, I put them on the plate. Like, all right, let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
That part. It's
So-
the radical sharing for me. It's the radical sharing and just being, like, I came from a space where everything was so protective, or all of these non-disclosure agreements, and no, we can't tell such and such that. Well, we want to work with such and such, but we can't tell them about this piece of the project. And I don't know when that's going to spill it all, because I'm just looking for something to get done. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, we got this grant over here. We got this grant to do this. So what y'all got? Like, I'm putting everything out on the table in these spaces. I'm getting in trouble for it. I'm like,
Right.
India, you can't go tell them that. But I'm like, well, I know I have a good relationship with them. Right, like I always worked from relationships, and that trust was always there, because you just want to trust, especially when you talk about community development and building spaces. You want to trust that we're all trying to make the best space possible. We are all working towards the same goal, and that's not shown in people's actions. And when I saw that happen so seamlessly with someone I just met, you welcome me to your house, we're creating together. You're one of the highest profile artists I know. I'm like, they were good. They're very good. Yeah, right. Like
I
there's
feel like
that.
you gotta meet me at the right time. You meet me at the right time, I could be cool. If not, you know, I'm just.
Yeah, but like it's just
But that
it's so
was
much
definitely
love.
the right time. You
It
feel
was
me?
the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, timing is everything. But yeah, just the love in the space.
The radical
amazing.
sharing.
Yes,
a
radical
new
sharing.
word.
I love that. You know, I feel like this hush hush is non-disclosure. It's like, you know, within this false urgency,
False urgency.
and working within the confines of our capitalistic society. For
That's
somebody,
what I'm learning now, man.
It
Sometimes you gotta just be like, nah, like
I'm not doing it.
I ain't doing nothing.
You be
feel
turning
me?
stuff down?
For real. Like
Yeah.
you got to,
Have
just
to.
for, you know, just mental, you know, everybody wants something. If everybody
Like
wants
this.
something, but you flesh and blood, you feel me? It's like I ain't a machine, you know, so that's what I'm learning now, just to be like, no, you feel me? Like I'd rather just breathe to that. You feel me? I'm just like you.
let your
Yes,
genius
rather
rest.
just-
Yeah,
Do you let your genius rest?
I do now.
You do now?
Now that I don't have to be somewhere every day, 9 to 5, doing something, I definitely take my intentional breaks, or I'll disappear. You know, I'll just kind of be like, okay, I'm not available for a couple days.
This has to be probably one of the most interesting interviews I've ever done, because the mind of the artist, it really is fascinating to me, right? Because what you create, it as an artist. I'm not an artist like Sheefy, but we grew up as artists.
He was coloring with me in class.
Right, you probably got
Not
in
that
there.
kind of artist
Aw.
though.
You feel me? Act like you was coloring.
But it's an extension of yourself,
Yeah,
right? And
right.
being able to be in a place where you can enact that genius. Capitalism comes for it, right? And you got to protect it. So India's like, I disappear. It's like, artists can do that, like, it just disappear. And you're like, I'm good. I'm not doing anything. I need to give my mental, I need to give my body a break. I think that's dope. I think it's dope, especially in a society where we value production and productivity and the dollar.
Because I feel like essentially like being an artist is something that you love to do, because even if I say I'm taking a break, I'm still gonna paint at my
Right.
own pace. I'm still gonna draw. I do this, every day, but it's not for the point of consumption. It's like for my soul. It's like it's my therapy first. So I try to keep that within art instead of like thinking for it to be consumed. And I feel like that's, as artists, we need to figure out the difference. A lot of people want to be seen, but just make art for you. You feel me? And I feel like every person needs to do that. Like I feel like if more people that aren't into art, just use art as a creative field just to let their mind go. If you just moving a paintbrush on the canvas, or if you just free writing something, or just let your mind just wander, it'll help you out. Like it's honestly therapy for me. So I try to keep that in my mind first before making a dollar off of it.
I love that. Can we talk about community? Let's talk about the artist community here in the city of Detroit. What does that community look like, and is that community supported? Is there a municipal structure that helps to prop up and provide agency to folks like you all? Is there a conversation on, at least on the community development side, where artists aren't being brought in at the last minute of the development to, hey, just put a mural on the wall, we'll pay you $5,000. Is the community expanding? Is the ecosystem of support there? And if not, what do you feel needs to happen to get it there?
I feel like the support is there, because I see it in so many different ways. It's like, as an artist, I learned so much from many different artists, older and younger. When I wanted to DJ, me working with like Moody Man, Carl Craig, and all them, Underground Resistance and stuff, I just found them just walking up and down the street and just learning. I feel like the knowledge is out there. You just got to be humble enough to actually attain. You feel me? Because sometimes people just don't got to deal with you. Because all of us, it's so many people that want to be creatives in Detroit. You got to know how to cut the fat and like actually be disciplined to make your own name and be humble enough to ask for help. You feel me? But I feel like right now, artists are getting to the point where they're making platforms and they're making, communities for people to learn at a faster rate, rather than you just following the breadcrumbs and figuring out who to talk to, which is a dope thing. It's definitely evolving, and I see it spanning future creatives just like that. Innovative creatives, even with like YG, he's opening like a whole techno school right now. You feel me? Sydney James with Blackout Walls, she did that to put more black artists on walls and get them paid.
Amazing. Yeah.
You feel me? So it took the times for those things to be missing for us to learn, for other artists to stand up, or even if it's just like me, just to inspire somebody. Like I ain't trying to make no school or nothing like that. You feel me? But if I can drop a seed, I will. You feel me? Like I feel like everybody's mind open enough, and it's enough love out here that people will just, you just ask a question, you'll learn. But you just gotta put the play in motion. You feel me? It's usually on the artist or the person that want to be the artist.
What about you, India? You feel like there's an ecosystem of support here in the city?
Yeah, I would say that ecosystem, at least for me, has been the other artists. So I can't necessarily point to an institutional force that is helpful, although I know there are sort of longer term artists that are advocating at the institutional level for different carve-outs and councils and things like that. But the support system is very much the virtue of the artists and what, the love that goes around, the sharing that happens, I think the recognition of other artists too. I mean, that happened for me. I was painting for a while and didn't really think about it. It just was therapy. And then I showed my paintings to a more established artist, and they were like, well, you can make prints out of those. I'm like, what is that? What are you talking about? What do you mean prints? Oh, the printer's around the corner? Like I can go up there. And so like these technical aspects, being like the sharing is there, and that's what makes it really powerful.
Do you feel like you all, do you feel like there's something that can be gained from an institutional convener and support system? Do you
you're
want
right,
it or
yeah.
not?
It's tricky.
As
'Cause
long as it
it's,
don't cost money.
right, it's the motives. It's like
It's the motives.
Yeah, yeah. If there is this strong grassroots economy of artists who are sharing through love and are exchanging as well. Like there's not an expectation that if you want something, you got to bring something to the table, but there is this I've done a lot of skill sharing. Like I've exchanged grant writing for some free photos or things like that. So I think an institutional entity, if done the traditional way, can take away from some of that grassroots connectivity that makes it really strong, and also naturally it naturally filters people. One of the questions I've started to be asked is I think people who are commissioning for higher profile murals are asking, do the other artists in Detroit accept you? Or do you have relationships throughout the artist community?
Oh,
or
that's
are you just
great.
kind of, at least I've been asked that recently, so I think that's coming into the space. But yeah, I don't know about a kind
I
of
feel
top
like
down.
institutions is needed. Like going to CCS was dope. It was just the money. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
if we can have free schooling or something like that to teach, that'd be crazy. But just finances always put a damper on you actually learning half the time. But I feel like a foundation is definitely needed to a certain extent. It's just certain things that can help artists be a little bit better. And I feel like college did do that for me. I actually did enjoy college, and I feel like everybody should have, if not the grassroots technique, some type of, if not the school of hard knocks, you got to learn from a book or something like that. You just can't be like, oh, I'm the greatest. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like you got to learn. You feel me? So.
Yeah, and I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, where's a quick class I could take, or a quick what kind of, and I haven't looked too much at CCS, but even that kind
That's some
of
bread,
that
that's what I'm
baseline,
saying.
yeah, I know, right?
It
That's what I'm
costs so
like,
much
I'm not
money.
trying
It's
to.
cost so
I'm
much
like,
money
how
to be
could
an
I
artist.
learn that? I would say Design Corps might be the closest thing to a good organizing entity and one that sends out their opportunities fairly often. So that's been helpful to be part of. But I think there's another level of that could exist.
You all travel a lot. Sheefy, you talking about that, you were in LA. I'm wondering when you leave the city, and as you take in narratives about the city when you are traveling or if you turn on the television, number one, what does that narrative look like? What does it sound like? Are you a part of it or are you left out of it?
What other people's narrative on the city? I'm definitely a part of it when OT. I started seeing a lot of Detroit influences everywhere I went, and that's what made me want to become more of an ambassador and work with more people and just show this is what's happening in Detroit, because people copying us so much. People copying so much in other cities, and they're doing it lightly, but it's actually being from Detroit and sitting there and looking at it, it's no. We need different narratives to actually tell our story. So that's been not only being in Detroit has been an inspiration for me as an artist, but leaving Detroit and seeing what people don't know. All they know is 8 Mile or our house is cheap or, you can die or
Oh yeah, that's
for
still
real.
out there.
Oh, I hear it's coming back. I hear Detroit is coming back. I hear Detroit is coming back for half a decade now.
You're right.
You feel me?
But you see yourself in that narrative.
Yeah,
in that-
because I always tell them it ain't been nowhere. You feel me?
Yeah.
Detroit been here, so you need to be in that narrative to say things like that just to change that state of mind. Because don't nobody know nothing about Detroit. We're literally in a fishbowl. We get washed just like a goldfish. You feel me? So we just sit in that bowl all the time. Don't nobody know what's happening inside of here or nothing. They just looking and conversating and stuff. So we gotta just break that glass and just leave places. Even in Detroit, there's a lot of Detroiters that don't know their own history. You feel me? I see that just being from the east side. If I ain't go to DSA or go to CCS, I wouldn't have been downtown to learn about all the different things going on. I wouldn't have been at Bob's Classic Kicks and started the air up there. You feel me? It was points where we actually got to come out of our own. You could probably go, walk down McNichols and ask a youngin' name 5 people on Motown. You feel me? Who they gonna say? Or be like, what is techno? I had to learn, I was 23 when I learned techno was black music, and it came from Detroit.
Yeah.
From black men from Detroit. You know, so I feel like if we knew our own history in a lot of ways, we'd be more powerful. But
To tell the story.
yeah,
To tell
but
that
now
story.
other people know our narratives before us, and that's why Detroit is like, you know, we got a lot of white people, you know, buying up stuff and everything. You feel me? We got, and in cases you see that in a good way and a bad way, because a lot of people actually want to retain and, you know, accelerate what's happening in Detroit. But it take, you know, artists and the community to step up to be like, no, don't do it that way. This is how you got to do it. But we got to know to be in these rooms or,
Right.
you know, be in these talks or, you know, looking at these papers. I remember growing up looking at Metro Times. I ain't never seen the Metro Times in the hood. I ain't never seen the Metro Times in the hood, but when I was in college, I was like, this is the paper I got to get into. You feel me? Like, these are the articles I got to be seen in, because these are the people that's really talking about the acceleration of Detroit, not the decomposition of Detroit. And I feel like the inner city is more infatuated on the decomposition instead of the change, because the only time you hear anybody from the hood coming downtown is for like the fireworks. Or, you know, or, you know, to pay a parking ticket, you know.
Or to come to a Sheefy pop-up now. Right.
Yeah, there we go.
Because you know,
But that's
this
the
is, but
change.
it is the change, and you know, we walk this I would say this line of tension, and I imagine you guys too, especially as artists, when you make a space cool, and that space goes up in value, and the folks that even made the space cool can no longer afford to live there. The folks on the east side probably can't move there, and so we have seen this cyclical effect around the United States, even especially like in places like New York and things like that. And so it is the radical sharing, the radical truth telling of making sure that number one, we know our history so that we can cascade set narrative and keep our places, but also I would say walk in the power of it being your city. A lot of folks don't come downtown because they don't feel welcome, Sheefy. Or it's where you gonna park at? You know what I'm saying? Like there are so many.
I don't be driving, so I don't be thinking about stuff like that. Like, I never had a car, so I didn't think about that. You feel me? But we gotta all just break out that mode. Like, this is our city. You feel me? Like, we can't be like, oh, it's white down there. It's like, it's still
city.
ours.
Like, come on.
yours.
So
Let's
you walk
go.
in this restaurant and, you know, ball out. You feel me? Like you at Starbucks or something. You feel me? Like, ball the lamb chops.
Get the lamb chops.
Like, you know, you go in
we be
Shanola and
spending
get a
money.
ball in the room. You feel me? Like, this is made for Detroiters. Like, this is not a tourist attraction.
I love
You
it.
know, so.
Yeah, India, talk
Yeah.
about narrative.
Oh yeah, I this was going in the direction of how I was going to answer, and it's for me, it's more the part that's missing when you hear about Detroit, when you hear people talking about it. They're so excited about the culture, excited about the city, all the things and decline and on the come up, but people don't, especially people not from here, don't understand the importance of this level of concentration of blackness and what it has meant to so many of us growing up here to literally be surrounded by black folk all the time. I'm still like shocked when I go to other
Teachers.
cities.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm like, oh wait, it is only 13% here. Oh, it's only 7% of us. Like I'm literally thinking of percentages because I'm like, people don't understand. So I've had sort of several, I wouldn't say encounters. I'll say encounters with folks who are doing development work in the city and may not be from here, and the rents may be bringing in a different population, and then it's like, well why? Well, it's good. Like, we need more people. We need more people. But I'm like, you have to understand that there's a disruption and a misunderstanding of how things work here, of the culture and what it means. And what that means for why people feel at home in Detroit, too. Why people feel so safe, why people feel so comfortable. And it doesn't feel like a New York. Yeah, I get sad when I'm walking downtown and people aren't saying hi to me. I'm like, where am I?
It's
you know,
weird,
people
ain't it?
aren't looking up.
That's
People
so
don't
weird.
address you the same.
Yeah.
Like we don't do that here. So it's little stuff like that is normal to folks from New York. It's normal to folks from wherever. but that's not normal here. So I've started to talk about it more in terms of cultural displacement because it's easier to get in people's heads. And I even use that one example. I'm like, you don't say hi. And that's rude, and that makes people not feel good. Regardless of, like, let's just take race out of it if you can't handle that conversation right now. Say hi, okay? Be intentional about supporting the Black-owned businesses that have been here. Be intentional about these things. So, yes, that part of the narrative is something that I very much fight to uplift. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. You know, Mama taught us when you walk into a room, you speak. You know what I mean? So, you know, there's this overwhelming sense in some areas of this cultural anxiety, right? That the culture is being chipped away at. Do you all see yourselves as cultural placekeepers? Like to maintain the culture and to prop it up?
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah.
But let's talk about something that you said earlier. You said that you left corporate America.
Corporate community development America. That's corporate second, yeah.
All industry.
Yes, industry.
Where you were shepherding tremendous amounts of capital that were supposed to change the conditions of neighborhoods, right? The pavements of our neighborhoods. And you said that you weren't seeing the impact that you wanted to see. So you quit. And you began to live life on your own terms and became a full-time artist. I want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Since then, and now you're in the place that you're in now, are you seeing that impact that you wanted to see?
I am, because I'm seeing people shift into their authentic selves. And I think my biggest beef in the community development sector, especially for folks of color in the sector, was like, we are community too. We are community too. We have to develop ourselves. We cannot
person,
be,
not just
yeah,
the
the
built
person.
environment.
Like,
Yeah.
we cannot be kind of up here funding these programs or designing these programs for other people to eventually be able to thrive if we're not sitting in a space where we are thriving and we're truly giving back to this world in a way that, like, we've worked so hard for, our ancestors have worked so hard for. Like, I just hit a point where I'm like, my grandma didn't do all this so I could be sitting at this desk in front of this computer and not able to call her or do anything. Like, she didn't work hard for that. So I just started to think of, like, what does purpose really look and feel like? And also, I was like in a space where I'm like, okay, if I don't have time to hang out, I can't actually spend money at Black-owned businesses. I can't actually be out here. And so, like, that was part of it. But the other sort of question around impact, I was lucky to be in a space where the money that I was able to kind of facilitate and get out into the system, it did go to fund people. It funded salaries. So, and it was one of very few funds at the time. I think that's expanding. So that's a change I've seen, is like these grants from foundations are starting to fund the people that work at these organizations.
It wasn't always like that.
Yes, it was not.
This is for this project.
like that.
Project-based funding, yeah.
Yes,
it's crazy.
Yes, but that people funding is expanding, and if you combine that with the expanded recognition that, like, oh, artists need to do this work, I've seen more positions open up for artists to step into. I've seen people get a little more lax on the degree requirements to be like, oh, we just need a cool person to do our social media. We don't need somebody who, like, has a bachelor's degree, because their post might probably be whack and they're not connected to community. So let's have an artist do this. So that's been really beautiful to see, like, working on those salary grants essentially to go out, and then seeing kind of this like rush of young professionals step into the space, and, like, young people knowing about it. That change is there. That change is happening.
And step into the space in a very unconventional way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
ain't nobody doing it like you or me. Like, I
Yeah,
served at
yeah.
a community development organization for 8 years out of
You
nobody's doing that now, right? Like,
No. Yes.
people are like, on my terms.
Yes, and people want to start their own organizations
Yeah.
too. I mean, that's been a fight too, because I'm like, okay, have you researched the 40 nonprofits already in the city? Do you know what's out there?
But does the
also
ecosystem?
we need new systems and new organizations.
But is the ecosystem something that we even want to get into?
Yeah, right.
Like, do
We
y'all
wanna
make
do
it look
this.
good?
No.
Is the, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
This you alluded to it earlier, like this industrial complex, right? Like, this churn and churn of just propping up white supremacist values and capitalism. It's exhausting. And I think folks coming up after us, they're not subscribing to that. Working 60 hours a week, making y'all would be shocked if I told y'all what I came in making, right? Craziness.
Right. Insane. So that's
Do you feel impactful?
Impact.
That was the initial question?
Yes.
Do I feel impactful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In what way?
I feel like, at least for me, I've been talking about this so much, like this month along, but I just want to show like, at least with men, like we could be eccentric, like more expression, and I feel like that's probably the best impact I've been putting out now. Like just.
Do you feel like that is coming back to you, like it's being repeated to you? Like this notion of being eccentric, being free.
Yeah, people just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
I feel like people got to deal with it. I guess that's my impact. They got to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's real.
It's so vague. You feel me? Like, because it ain't even about the impact for me. I don't even care if people like my art or not. But I feel like that's what makes me dope.
Yeah, that's that authenticity. That's kind of where we started too, the authenticity and the impact of being your true self and how that just becomes the source of it.
The source of it. Take me back to the space that you were in. The city of Detroit had commissioned you to do a mural. And the cops come up to you.
Yeah. I'm about to give it to you right now, but
Okay.
I'm about to tell it to you. So this what happened. So I'm sitting here painting. You feel me? I got my homie Chris helping me out. We banging this mural out all week. I'm saying hi to the cops and everything. I'm comfy, you feel me? So it come to this one day. I'm painting. Chris there, he helped me setting up the paint. So I'm starting to spraying on the wall. Like 3 dudes walk down the street. They watching me paint. You feel me? They interested, so they watching me paint. So then the cop car roll up. You feel me? 2 cops come out the car. They're like, "What you doing?" You feel me? Like, I'm doing this mural for the city. As you can see, the whole block is already painted. I'm just finishing it. You feel me? Like, it's whatever. You feel me? Like, it's cool. They like, "No, you ain't doing that. You painting on city property, yada, yada." I'm like, "No, that's cool. You feel me? I can call the organizer right now. Like, it's good." They're like, "Oh, you could be calling your mama or something like that." You feel me? So I'm like, everything I'm trying to tell them, like, it's good, they just turn it down. So it got to a point where they're like, "Well, do you have a permit?" I check my pocket, like, it ain't in my pocket, let me check my book bag. So when I was moving towards my book bag, they tried to make it seem like I was resisting arrest. So that's when, like, they both put the cuffs on me. One had cuff on me, the other one had cuff on me, and they called back up. So they call them back up. All this junk, probably like 5, 6 more cars pull up, you feel me? So, in the midst of that, it was just surreal, because, mind you, this is on Juneteenth too, so this is Juneteenth 2019. So the day before, I just did an interview with the news. I'm talking on the news, talking about doing this mural. I'm talking to the city about doing this mural for the city. So the next day I got arrested. Then I got arrested. Even the city representative came down. They, talking to him and everything. But I knew, like, I'm going to jail, you feel me? So it wasn't like a month and a day, but still with us. So when I came out, I told them when they pulled off on me, it's like, y'all fucked up. You feel me? Like, y'all don't know who I am. Y'all don't know why I'm doing this. You feel me? Like, y'all fucked up. So I ain't tell my mama until I got out. I ain't want to worry my mama. I hit my pops up. But once I told my mama, she made a status. And then from that status, I sent it to the editor of the Metro Times and the Free Press, like I know them well, you feel me? So I just sent the status. And then that's how I went like global and national, like within like 2 days type of thing. But nonetheless, I feel like just looking back at it now, at that point in time, it was just like, I felt like a madman. It was an oxymoron, like being arrested, painting something for the city. And then they tried to make me feel like I was in the wrong for doing so. So I'm in the cell just thinking about it the whole time. Like, damn, was I wrong for not having my permit? All this type of stuff, everything like that, you feel me? But now I see like it's artists Like that's even why, you know, divine order on my face. Sometimes stuff just happen that you don't understand. You feel me? But that was supposed to happen at that time for me to really stand there on my truth and expose to gray areas in public art in Detroit. You feel me? Like, so you got this black man painting murals, but you're looking at him as a graffiti tagger. Why? You feel me? Like, so that question is to pose so many different things and show the ignorance of, you know, the task force in that case and all that type of thing, you know. And I don't try to go too deep into it because it's like I ain't try to sue or nothing like that. Like I knew at that point, like, it's gonna come back. You feel me? All I gotta do is focus on my art. And 3 years later, I'm painting a big mural in the middle of downtown. You feel me? So I feel like, in a sense, those ruffles have to happen so knowledge can be learned, you feel me, on the community side and on the city side. You feel me? Like, they gotta learn how to treat artists. They gotta learn what art is, you feel me? Like, in a lot of cases, cities accept public art, or it's a lot more money being poured into public art. Like, artists basically playing Hunger Games to get money in, you know, Michigan. You feel me? Like 25,000 or something like that. Like, they pouring millions to get murals in LA or New York or Philly and stuff like that. But we still have certain people that don't want to see people like Detroit where it's at. Some, you know, I feel like in a lot of cases with a lot of projects I've been a part of, like, I see like some stuff gets stopped because it's like it's kind of crazy different. Like the glass mural, like, I'm a part of this project. They're supposed to be building like, they got like these superstar architects building like this crazy glass mural in the middle of Eastern Market. Denal's doing one floor, I'm doing the second floor. And I noticed just like, in a sense, like that building was so different. People was just like, at least that's what I heard, like, you know, just people that on the community was like, it's just not fitting the aesthetic of Eastern Market and stuff like that. So you get a lot of cases where it's like, it's just not what we're used to, but we're breaking out of those people in those chairs, and we have more people like us in those chairs that are more open-minded and helping us change Detroit. So it's not just the artists, it's the people in those rooms. I definitely been seeing it change more over the years, but at one point in time, it was a lot of gray areas. But
Society always got to catch up to y'all.
Yeah, it's getting better. You feel me? Like,
Y'all be like way ahead, and we like got to catch up. I want to ask. This is my favorite question to ask. It's about dreams. I think that it is revolutionary for Black folks to not only dream but to speak their dreams. And so I want to ask you guys, what are you dreaming about, and what are your dreams for your city? India, I'll start with you.
Okay. I am dreaming about being an artist. Like, that's the part that really hit me when you really think back to, what were you saying you wanted to be when you were younger? What did you actually say? Not what did you dress up for career day? Because I went and dressed up as a lawyer after somebody whispered in my ear, like, oh, I think you'd be a great lawyer. Then you kind of just like, oh, well, all right, I guess that's the thing. That's what I'm going to do. But for me, if I look back to little India, like, what? Being a working artist would be her wildest dream. Like, one of the things I used to say when I was little and dancing in front of the TV, watching the VH1 stuff, is like, I want to be a video girl, right? Like, that's one of the first things I told people when I was younger. I want to be a video girl. Oh, haha, India, you're so smart. Why would you want to do that? You're so smart. I'm a video girl. I'll be in videos. I'll be dancing. Like, and I'm having the time of my life. So I am dreaming about continuing to have the time of my life and demand that me having the time of my life, everyone having the time of their lives, especially Black folk having the time of their lives, is the goal. Whatever the time of your life is, like, let's try to figure out how to get everybody there so we can all, like, chill out. That's what I'm dreaming about for everybody.
Dreaming that Black folks are having the time of their life.
Like,
Man, that's pretty dope.
That's it.
At a party that you throw.
Yeah, it's
For the
coming.
videos.
You know it's coming.
Sheefy, what are you dreaming about?
so I can say it was at one point where I wanted to be, but now I'm on the other side of that. I am, you feel me? Like, I am an artist. Like, everything is working, you feel me? All that type of thing. So what I've been trying to manifest or I dream about is like being an artist for 100 years, like knowing how to be a creative and live, you know, healthy. You feel me? Like you got the 27 Club, you know, or you got rappers getting shot every other day, and you know all this type of stuff like live fast, die young. Like these type of mantras for creatives has haunted us for so long. Like even depression and stuff like that. Like I feel like now I'm on the other side of mortality. Like I'm not young and dumb anymore. Like I know, like I got to treat my mind right, my body right, you know, my spirit right to actually make the work that I need to. Cause you know, I've seen it. Like the things that you say in music, you know, the things that you put in your artwork, it's a reflection of you. It comes right back to you. You got to put the right energy out in order for, you know, it to be a blessing for you and not just like a monkey on your back type of thing. So you got to really watch where your energy is going, and I'm seeing how to control that the older that I get. You feel me? So now I'm just dreaming about a healthier life, definitely, but just doing the same thing I'm doing, you know. But being able to, cause I be so inspired by just, like especially like the techno artists, man. Like I don't know how old these dudes is, you feel me? But they've been out since the 80s playing the same song, you feel me?
And killing it
selling,
every time.
vegan or something, you feel me? So like, it be something crazy, or just like, the most artists just hella chill, like Amp Fiddler, you feel me? Like Amp still look like he 30, you feel me?
I met
like,
Jeff Mills in Paris.
you feel me?
Yeah.
You know, like all them, Carl Craig, all them, like, and I seen a different, what had me thinking about longevity was those guys, because like being in the hip hop realm, you feel me, like everybody just, it's a death circuit, you feel me, like it's either degrading or you're a crackhead, you feel me, or it's like the biggest drug dealer wins, you feel me, like that's like hip hop right now. Like I feel like, at least when I rap, it's always, I'm just like to have fun, you feel me, I bring the party, you know, or I'm rapping about, you know, art, the flaw shit, you feel me? But that's what really got me more into the techno realm, because it's like, it ain't no talking, it's just dancing, you know? But I feel like I wanna find healthier ways, and hopefully people can look at what I'm doing like, you know, I don't gotta kill everybody to make a song. Maybe I can just, you know, have fun.
Or
you
get
feel
shot
me?
up to
Yeah,
make a
you
song.
feel me?
Right.
Like
What's funny is I asked these two black folks what they're dreaming about, and essentially, if I could summarize it, y'all are dreaming about living.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Y'all are dreaming about living and thriving where you are and where you want to be. That is so monumental, but it also speaks to where we are and where we have been. When I asked two black folks what they dreaming about, and they essentially are coming to this same nucleus, I'm dreaming about living. I think it's a perfect button to this conversation. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all
you.
for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Thank y'all for saying yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
Thank
man. Thank you to our guests tonight and to the Cochrane House for hosting us. Stay tuned for our next conversation, made possible thanks to the Ford Foundation. We'll see you next time.